What was it? I feel like there's a Terminator coming. I'll be back.
Come with me if you want to live.
It is not the Puma at all.
Hey, Sonny, do you remember that getting your ass? I lied.
These are my tortillas and I'm not in the mouth.
Carl?
Get to the chopper.
Who's your dad, Pete, and what does he do? Who is this Cash Money?
Did you ever kill anybody? Yes, they were all bad.
The following content contains adult language and humor that is not suitable for viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
It's got some childish
The
language.
views and opinions expressed during the following video content are those of the individual and may not reflect those of others. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike was screaming.
No
that
matter the
wild.
weather outside, Orman, Tagge, Cash Money 007, and PACIFIC414 are here to bring you the pop culture and entertainment, news, rumors, watch parties, discussions, reactions, reviews, opinion on PACIFIC414 Pop Talk Sunday edition.
Mike gets on his top. And
Welcome, one and all.
top.
Only my opinion matters.
That's right.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome one and all to this edition of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk, along with Cash Money 007, Orman, Tagge. I am your host, Mike, and this morning on Pop Talk, we are joined by a fine gentleman, a fine content creator, and a fine friend of the channel, Felix Quiros, also known as Star Wars Theology. Welcome,
guys.
Felix.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for
You're at first. I thought you
thanks,
talked about me.
for inviting me.
Yeah,
Oh, no problem, brother.
Yeah.
no problem, dude.
So, Felix, you've been doing this content creation on YouTube for a couple of years now, and what got you into doing it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Everything, as you all know, I'm very well aware. I'm also a moderator for Echo Base Network. So
no.
I started. Go ahead. Yeah. So basically, I started there. I believe I spent basically, before doing any videos, I spent almost a year just being in the background, doing all the moderator tasks, from Coach and Nick, and it was a great community, especially after what happened with season 2 finale of The Mandalorian. It was a lot of hype at that moment, so a lot of people found Echo Base Network at that point. So that's how it started. And then I think the big thing that happened in Echo Base Network that kind of like triggered me to do stuff was this book right here, is Heart of the Jedi. Whoever remembers this era, this book came out in Amazon all of a sudden, and this goes just a couple days after Return of the Jedi. This was an unreleased novel by Mr. Ken Flint. I recommend, if you don't have it, I think there's still PDFs so you can read this. And this motivated me because I needed to read the book in order to help Coach and Nick do an interview at that moment. I remembered I was doing it with Tron. It was Tron, me, and Coach, and I believe Nick was there. I'm running out of the memory there, but that's kind of like what happened. And then from there, I think there was some efforts to do, I think it was Echo Base Entertainment videos, and that's how it started. I think I did a video with my son about how to do lightsabers techniques, and then from there, evolve, learning little by little, and that's how it started. Basically, a little bit after that, my channel.
Very nice.
So, did you teach him the proper technique of lightsaber battles of taking a hand off, and now he's called Lifty?
Actually, we did. Yeah, like what happened was is that we actually we were in a when I live in Connecticut, I was going into some actually Jedi classes. There was my Grandmaster Waldron from the Academy of Martial Arts. He developed a program that he took all the fun of the fandom of Star Wars because he's a Star Wars fan, but he was also a martial artist. So he combined both, and he developed this program called Jedi Ninja Warrior. And I spent basically almost 4 years doing that. And I love it because I was basically learning all the moves from Luke Skywalker because it's based on the Form 1 of Jedi lightsabers. And I love it. That's my hero, Luke, and it was great. It was great. It was, and so my son was actually the one who took me into that because I was just leaving him there. That place was kind of like an aftercare school program that offered Taekwondo, but also offered these Jedi classes. And then I said, okay, let me try it because he said, no, adults can do it too. And I got into it very, very, very hard. I do it every week, at least once a week, because I know all the moves. So I do it in my backyard. So I still do it here in Florida. So it's pretty cool.
Very nice. And with the Heart of the Jedi being the real Kickstarter for you get into YouTube content creation and also being part of Echo Base Network, what was the first video that you uploaded?
I believe was the first video that I uploaded. That's a good question because I think I uploaded that martial arts one in my other channel, in my Felix channel. Then I created the Star Wars Theology channel, and I believe I start doing some scroll, type of like similar to Star Wars, stories, and I start like talking about the light side and the dark side of the Force. Because I was trying to kind of mix some of the stuff that I know from theology without being too direct of what I'm trying to say by using Star Wars. And some of my stuff, probably not a lot of people notice what I'm doing, but I have like hidden messages in my videos talking about aspects of theology, but using Star Wars because that's what the fandom wants. And I see in Star Wars, there's a lot of stuff in terms of the light and the dark side of the Force that I can relate to, but between evil. And I drive through that. And then lately I've been doing more like, reactions to the Ahsoka series and talking about characters, trying to learn, how to do the videos because it takes some skills, especially if you're doing it alone and you do it at, part-time basis, you have a full-time job. It's kind of hard, but it's a learning process, there's a lot of stuff. You can see there, I try to do episode 1 that was really early and like I learned that was like 2 years ago. Wow. So and then I try to get a lot of stuff with samurai. I even tried one in Spanish. I think you see one video that was in Spanish.
There's this one right here.
I haven't done that another Spanish video in a while. And that's something that I'm thinking about because I can capture a audience because I know Spanish as my first language. So I could do that too. Lately, I tap in a little bit of artificial intelligence. By trade, I'm an engineer, so I got interested in that. So this pretty interesting. In the last 6 months, I don't know if you have looked around YouTube, but AI took over everything, like voice generation, swapping faces into avatars. It's kind of crazy how this is going. It's kind of scary in a way too. So I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but it's going on in YouTube right now.
It's going to make people lazy, unfortunately, and then it's going to have other problems that go along with it. But
and of course this is the thing, obviously, that Hollywood has to be afraid of too, because if as YouTubers are doing the same, what about the studios?
It's pretty easy to do. I'm telling you guys, it's like once you know the software, so what you need to do is basically you can basically record a voice from anybody, right? It can be, for example, you can record your own voice for 2 minutes, and then basically you have what you need to basically create a artificially intelligence of yourself if you wanted to. If you want to go to that level, it can be done. Something else that I found that early helped me was shorts. I started studying the shorts, and that gave me a lot of subscribers. Like doing, they like to read, especially I like quotes in Star Wars. So I was doing special quotes of shorts, and that still to this day is what's giving me subscribers and stuff that I did like 2 years ago.
Yeah, you have quite the catalog of shorts as I'm scrolling down here, and
yeah, I found that because especially with time, especially when I was testing how to do basically YouTube, that was short enough to kind of learn how to edit, in a short form in a 1 minute. But shorts is not for everybody. I'm gonna tell you that the really good shorts, you need to edit the hell out of it. You know what I mean? Because you need to make sure that you do the transitions. You need to take the shot and then you need to move it. So with I use Wondershare. That's kind of like the edit software that I use. And once you get good at it, and then you need to put background music, something that captures the audience. And shorts to me are pretty easy. What is having me a little bit of a harder time is to do the long length content. That's a different world, as you guys know. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And real quick before we continue on here, I do want to say hello to those who are in the chat. Of course, Baron was here first, and he says the PAC414. And he's also willing to raise the pirate flag.
Again, good man.
T-Gap Steve, who's going off the continual drama of Beverly Hills PACIFIC414.
414, yeah.
Beverly Hills 414. And of course, our guest, Felix, Star Wars Theology. Spartacus is here. Good to see us.
No, I'm Spartacus. I'm
Spartacus. And Jason Fox of 540 Studios. Hello, Jace. And we also have the Nerdporial Lifeform.
Yeah, Michael Chiklis Jr. decided to grace us with his presence. Hello.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah, and I've been in different, also other channels. Like for example, like Fandomology used to be Star Wars, the Star Wars guys, the two Star Wars guys, and then that's what I met Cash over there. And
that's right. Yeah,
and then I also like Coffee on Carbon. That's another guy that I like. Yeah, so yeah, I've been around, on different streams, so. It's good. It's we met a lot of people in that era, the last 2.5 years. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, because one of the first places I met you was over on the Star Wars guys, now known as Fandomology. And so when we all meet each other, we all kind of migrate over to each other's channels to check out what each one of us are doing, whether it's a new video premiere, whether it's a live stream. And I've got to ask you, Felix, which do you like doing more, live streams, shorts, or videos?
That's a good question. I think at the beginning I liked doing shorts. Now I'm trying to get better at how to do videos, like talking about like 2 to 3 minute long videos, short enough, but it has some content. Especially because I'm trying to get my watch hours, because the downside about shorts is that they don't count for viewing perspective. So they're good for subscribers, but you don't get any viewing time. So that's the only downfall of shorts. It gives you attraction to your long term, but trying to figure out how to use the best out of my time. I also have a family, and all this other stuff, all the responsibilities. So I'm trying to see how I can navigate this world and do something.
Yeah, because even trying to get monetized via shorts, you have to have 3 million shorts views, and you have to also have that 1,000 subscribers.
And that's the lower tier too. The 3 million. If you want to go to the higher tier, that kind of the equivalent to the 4,000 watching hours, you need to have 10 million. Yeah. Right? Yeah, I think that's how it goes. So it's hard. You need to have a good short. I think I had a short one time that got me around 600K views.
I think I saw one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's you need to make that one. I work a lot. It's funny that I worked for a minute, but I needed to like edited a lot, and it's something that was there. It was, I remember, it was a short about when Anakin and Obi-Wan are talking to Padme. That part in Revenge of the Sith. So I put a different music in the background. And actually, the thing about shorts that is good is that you can put music that is copyrighted, and they allow you to do because they don't count for watching hours. So they're allowing you to do that, so you can attract people. You put a link to your long form videos. So they're actually changing the rules a little bit.
So do you, because a lot of your subscribers, Felix, came from shorts, is that your goal, is to have just a lot of shorts on your channel, or do you have the watch hours now for the other videos, or is it just mainly you were doing the shorts to get that watch hours?
Yeah, at the beginning I was doing the shorts to get subscribers. I was thinking, oh yeah, let me try that because I was getting good at it, right? I was getting the subscribers, and I thought that I was gonna replicate on the viewing on the watch hours, but it's not true.
YouTube,
it's not true. It gives you the subscribers, but it doesn't necessarily replicate, because like other channels that they have like an actual community that they're doing live streams, right? That they build that community that gets you your watch hours. So if you're coming from the other spectrum, it's a little bit hard. So now I'm trying to build a little bit of community. So it's gonna take me a little bit, unless I get people watching my videos 24/7. That it's not gonna happen.
Right? I wish. Right? Hey, come on, this was like a really amazing video. Everybody should watch it. Yeah, no, right.
Yeah. So it's difficult. So I'm getting, I'm testing the waters, see what works, and yeah. But it's fun. It's fun. It's just like, I'm gonna need to. Everybody has a different journey, I guess.
Right.
It was different
because what works for one content creator doesn't necessarily work for another. What works for Cash may not work for the Nerdporial Life one, may not work for Sparta Chris, but maybe it works for Jace of 540, or maybe it works with TGAB Steve.
Yeah, even with Star Wars, man, like it's funny. So many streamers out there limit themselves. It's like you could talk about Star Wars, you talk about like lightsabers, and while doing a live video of something else, and it's just it's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Exactly.
You got that book?
No, I don't have it. That looks.
Oh, you gotta find that one. Yeah, it's Scholastic. You can find that one.
Hold it up again, Baron.
Okay, sure.
Oh, nice.
The Guide to the Weapon of the
Force. Sweet.
Oh, I mean, they go.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it goes through all the stuff. Oh, there we go. All the stuff with lightsabers, and they even have pull-outs. It's a good one from Scholastic. They came out with a while back.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Talking about. And you're talking about theology on there.
Yeah.
Are you familiar? Here, I'm going to present a book, if you don't mind, Mike. On here. Are you familiar with this book at all? Oh, no, it's on the screen.
Sorry.
Because it's my library. I just don't know. No problem. I don't know where it is right now. It's my library, but it's all packed away. I got that book when I was a kid, shortly after Star Wars came out. The Force of Star Wars, and the author was trying to make comparisons of that between that and Christianity.
Yeah. I don't have it. That sounds pretty interesting. The Force of Star Wars. I'm gonna go back to this and look at it. I'm probably gonna see if they still make this book.
You can get it like on Amazon. It's not that much. It's like paperback, $8.38 or $19 mass market. It's it's obviously not a big collector item. So
Luke is hoping to be in the Olympics. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Star Wars. What fascinates me too is the power of choice. There's a theme there that fascinates me. The choice that the struggles that you see of the characters trying to make the right decisions, trying to travel through different types of temptations, that make them go one way or the other. So there's a lot of stuff happening in Star Wars that's pretty interesting to me. Plus I haven't got deep into my videos yet because I sometimes I don't want to go over the head of people, but I actually, besides being an engineer, I finished I did a theology degree. So that's why I'm coming.
Oh, very nice.
So I spent like 3 3.5 years I did a master's in theology. But I'm coming from the Catholic perspective. So you have different types of theologies, right? So I grew up Protestant, but I eventually converted to Catholicism after a lot of reading and then what I found, and every track is different. What I found to me that helped me go through that transition was that I found that there's a lot of history. There's a lot of, in terms of the history that you can find in literature about Christianism. It's very vast. Well, 2,000 years, right? So you can find a lot of information, and I was very fascinated with it. And then in terms of Star Wars, how you can see aspects of that in Star Wars, and there's all over the place. Like, for example, I like one of the things that people don't know that you say every time in Star Wars: "The Force be with you," right?
Right.
That's coming from the Mass. The Lord be with you. That's where he got that from, and he got stuff from different religions, from Hinduism. Like you can see aspects, the Zen, right, and the Jedi, right? How all that comes from different religions. So it's pretty interesting what you can get out of Star Wars.
Absolutely. And I do want to say hello to Admiral Teague over on the Rumble side, who says, I'm not sure what's more painful, current Star Wars or this year's New York Jets.
Oh, well,
current Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, just kind of the aspect of Lucas's mindset, as he describes himself, a Presbyterian with Hindu leanings. And that's from him describing himself with his religious beliefs on that.
Yeah.
I've noticed. Go ahead, Felix.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I've noticed that I feel one of the problems with a lot of these Star Wars shows, that besides that some of them should probably be just an hour-and-a-half movie. I think that would help, especially since they're only 30, 40 minutes usually each episode. I feel they just are missing little details, and even, how, I don't know how you feel about Ahsoka, but I think, like, in a way, Filoni's been retconning what he did in Rebels, and then he's changing stuff in Ahsoka. It's like, well, there's things that you already know if you've watched Rebels, and I don't really understand it, why Disney just doesn't care about these little details. I want more of that serious tone. I thought there was in Andor. People still want to fight me about Andor all the time, which is fine. But like, I like that deep drama, but I thought that was, and other people have said it too, like that was probably a better direction for Star Wars to an extent, but they just forget about a lot of these things now. You see Ahsoka and you're like, am I supposed to be excited? Like, I liked her before in Mandalorian for me personally, but in this show, I'm just like, am I supposed to like this show? Like, I like Baylan, but
yes, that's my favorite character right now in the show.
Yeah.
Baylan is my favorite character. I think in terms of Ahsoka, for me, I'm right there in the middle, but I'm trying to understand why some people like it more than others. And I came to this conclusion, and this is my own opinion. I think what happens with Star Wars is that it's very generational. This is very generational. Like, I am a OT guy, right?
Right.
That loves deeply the first, the original three, right? Your original trilogy. But I love Revenge of the Sith. I'm like that movie from the prequels. That's that movie is my third favorite movie, and my ranking is I like Empire.
Yeah.
For me, and some people don't like it. I like Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is has
overall. I still say that's a very good film. Yeah.
That movie for me has a lot of meaning. It's because Luke is my hero. And then my third favorite is Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith is still a great movie. Yeah.
To me, it's just that struggle, and especially because of the theology aspects. You see how this guy falls to the dark.
Yes.
Deep, and you see basically the emperor, basically the personification of the devil, right there, tempting him so bad. Oh, I can give you this. Oh, I can give you that. And then he falls so hard. And then you see this fallen man.
Yes.
That got into the trap of the most evil being in the universe. So
He kills younglings, man. I mean, but the thing is, they don't even
Yeah.
have those scenes where you just a still moment where he pulls out his lightsaber and you see the other person's face and you're like, oh crap,
Yeah.
this is about
Right.
to happen.
Yeah,
Those,
and,
Right.
those
And it
moments
leaves
are
everything
so
to your imagination.
important. Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing Lucas and some of these other people in Hollywood still understand is less can always be more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when it comes to Ahsoka, for example, probably I'm in the minority in terms of that episode 5. When I saw episode 5, and you see that they're like in this world between worlds, that they're in the eternal
Yes.
realm, right?
Yes.
If you want to call it that way, you see this lessons that Anakin is trying to give to Ahsoka, right?
Right.
To complete that training, to make her understand what it means to have that balance and be able to, stand for yourself, but still go back and be centered on goodness. And I love that transformation of Anakin, that struggle, because he obtained that in the eternal realm. He was not able to obtain that in the physical realm, but he obtained that, ability or prize in the world between worlds. So I see it differently. Now, the last episode of Ahsoka, I have problems with it. And overall, the whole series, I'm average, but definitely better than the book of Boba Fett.
Yes, I'll say that.
Better than Kenobi for me.
Yes.
I'm in the minority. I love Andor. I love Andor.
So do I, man.
So I love Andor, but I'm in a very low minority. So
Get those two off. No, I haven't watched it. I just tease Cash all the time because he tells me about the latest fight he's had with Andor. About Andor. It's like, okay,
let me ask you what I like Andor. The reason I like Andor, I'm an ex-military, right? When I see Andor, I'm seeing it in the eyes of a ex-soldier. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this. I'm not a Jedi there. I don't care about the Jedi. I don't care about the lightsabers. I'm seeing this in the perspective. Man, this guy, they are struggling to build up. The new republic, right? I mean the republic, right? So basically, they're soldiers, and they need to make tough decisions, and they're not pretty. And there was no Jedi, Luke is still, on the farm, right? So they're regular people. So it's not gonna be entertaining. I have only one issue with Andor in one episode that I think they took too long, and there was a side quest in Andor. But besides that, I like the series. But again, how you feel about Ahsoka? You guys are watching, not watching? Or?
I haven't watched it, so I can't comment on it.
Yeah.
I can sit down and actually watch it. I do have access, so I should watch.
Yeah, we have people in the community.
I don't think about anything.
We have people in the community who either like Andor, love to attack people who don't like Andor but would like Ahsoka. You got people even on watch parties who are like, oh, you're bringing the mood down. Why? Because he has to love this show when he watches it with you guys. This is ridiculous. Like, you can just pick apart Ahsoka, and I want to like this show, Felix, but there's just it's such a mess. And I'm like, I like Sabine better in Rebels. I don't like Sabine as much in this show. I like Ahsoka better in Rebels. I don't know how to feel about Ahsoka. Then she's put Ahsoka the White now. It's like we already explained that. So they could have just had her do that in the beginning of the show. There's no Zeb. Like, these stuff doesn't make sense to me. I feel Hera had more personality in Ahsoka, in Rebels than she does in Ahsoka. I don't get these things, man. And people say, "Oh, this show's a 10 out of 10. Put Filoni on the sun." I'm like, praise Filoni. I go, oh god.
Yeah, and I think that goes with what I was trying to go. That I kind of deviated a little bit, was that it's generational.
Right.
So think about a kid, and I have, because I have a couple of nephews. Think about a kid that grew up with the prequels, right? So the prequels, that's all basically they were watching that day and night, consuming that heavily. I'm pretty sure that the moment that they see Anakin and Ahsoka again, independent of how bad or good it was,
right?
Just that moment,
Yes.
For them, it was like me watching Luke in season 2 of the Mandalorian.
Yep.
You know that some people, I'm pretty sure some people cry in that moment. Some of those kids that grew up with that was what they were, you know, what took them to Star Wars.
Yep.
And then you have the OT guys that they're not okay. They see that and I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not. So and you have different generations in between, and that you're gonna have different reactions to Ahsoka, and I think that's what's going on right now.
Well,
it's just different reactions.
That brings me to a question I wanted to ask you, Felix, is what do you think is one of the big problems that's holding Disney Star Wars back compared to Star Wars when it was under Lucas?
Yes, it's just that they went the wrong way. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they should have used the material that they already had purchased in that, you know, in that section. They have all the EU stuff. They had all this stuff that was basically they have the sequel trilogy wrote it by George Lucas. Give it to them like that, right there.
Yes.
And basically just scrap that, wrote something new. They should have stayed with the theme of what George Lucas wanted to make out of Star Wars, and then later, if they could basically take the script from Cobra Kai, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to do something like that, let's introduce new characters. Okay.
Right.
Good. But do it right. Do it
right, like Cobra Kai did. You're introducing new characters, but you're also still paying respect to existing characters and helping those characters grow even more, like Johnny and Daniel and
like imagine Cobra Kai. You know, you have Cobra Kai right there. Imagine swapping those characters you have in Cobra Kai, right? Swap the environment, obviously. Go back to Star Wars and just use the characters of Star Wars in those same, you know, in that same manner. Imagine how good would that be for Star Wars, you know. People will be eating and everybody will be together. Everybody. Well, you know, new guys, old guys. You know.
It's funny. We always love new characters. They always, people are making excuses, but this whole thing about like the way the fandom is, some of the fandoms like, oh, we're better than the others. Like, no, you attack people because they don't like the Star Wars show, or we have to praise this because Filoni did this, even though like you can pick this stuff apart. And if you like Ahsoka, that's great. But other people who don't, they're ready to fight. You're in another channel. Somebody says, "Oh, I can't. I don't like this." You know that what you guys are saying, and then they leave. They're so upset. It offends them so internally. It's like it's crazy to me. Even when I'm on a panel and someone's like, "Oh, you fuck that Andor shit," like and stuff. Like I hate that show, and they give reasons why, and they're coming from an EU perspective, and you're like, okay, but this is my opinion, so I hope you're going to listen to my opinion, just like I listen to yours. You know, but
and that's something that I noticed.
Fight all the time, man. They get those knives and the swords out and whatever. They're just ready to fight. It hurts them so internally. It seems it's like. This is just my opinion, man. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. But
and that's something that I learned through the theology degree. Something that you needed to learn to be able to do is that you need to listen to a person, right? Listen to their opinion and where they're coming from, right? And then if you're gonna talk about your opinion, then you need to be flexible. You cannot just, you know, You need to be able to have a conversation, even though that you don't agree with that person. And at the end of the day, we still Star Wars fans, you know. We don't need to be in a war, you know what I mean? Like
no, we really don't.
But you know, there's another side to it too, Felix. It seems like every time we all have debates, whether it's Star Wars, Doctor Who, or Star Trek, it's something like this happens.
Then you're crazy. I know you are, but what am I? You're a nerd. I know you are, but what am I? You're an idiot. I know you are, but what am I? I know you.
yeah. Exactly. You got that right. Yeah, that's what happens. But you need to.
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, my apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt because you're the guest. But well, that's one of the things is, you know, like Cash is saying, you know, I have problems with all that stuff with the new canon because I'm an EU fan through and through. But I've made it known there's elements of this new so-called canon from Disney that I like. I mean, there's elements here and there, stuff that I would sit back and say I would consider apocrypha in the EU universe, where it's like tall tales and tall stories and such. But to be able to sit back and go, yeah, I mean, from an EU standpoint, I don't like this, but it's still a good story, and it helps this new troubled, and let's face it, it is a troubled canon that they have over there on Disney. At least it's something that is, hopefully being more than a band-aid to help it along. And yeah, not everybody is going to be 100% on board. Like, I have not seen Andor, but I have defended it in this aspect because, people, one of the things they're saying, well, there's no Jedi, there's no lightsabers, no this, that, with the Force. It's like, well, we had stuff in the EU that was the same way.
Yes.
The daily Star Wars trilogy did with Han Solo back in the late 70s, early 80s, and various others where the Force wasn't there. So are those considered Star Wars or not? You can involve things that don't center around the main core or the Force and still have a great Star Wars story. So that argument for me rings very hollow.
Yeah, and I do want to bring up something that Resolute Germ is saying over on the Rumble side. He's saying there was an easy 10-year plan in the EU leading up to an Avenger-like event with New Jedi Order. So basically, I think I know what he's saying is you had all this material in the EU that you could have used, but Disney and their infinite wisdom said, no, it's not important. Yet they still want to draw from it.
Yeah, look, you have characters like Raven, Darth Malgus. You got, like Bane. You imagine the Darth Bane trilogy in a movie? Like, I will go like wild, because man, you have the material. The material is there, and they own it. Disney own this material. They can just take basically verbatim from the book if they wanted to, and let's make it a movie. What? Nothing will stop them from doing it. There's nothing that will
vanity, ego.
Yeah,
vanity and ego. They can't stand the fact that someone did it before them and probably did it better. They have to put their footprint on it, and that's the wrong thing to do. When you're playing in somebody else's sandbox, in this case, George Lucas. I mean, enough people on Disney's side have sat back and said, screw George Lucas. We don't care about what he's done. We're going to do our thing with it. Well, that's your first mistake. You have to be true to the source material and how he envisioned the Star Wars universe. And that's the big problem. But you're absolutely right. Those would make great stories. Characters like Mara Jade. I mean, obviously, Lucas wasn't a big fan of Mara Jade, but what a big fan favorite. I'm even going to put even my name, Baron Orman, which is not on here no more. But Baron Orman Tagge. I mean, I saw that how they bastardized it for this new Disney canon from the great villain that he was in the comic books, or Crimson Jack, the space pirate. There were so many characters that you can bring back properly, even Valance, the badass bounty hunter they had before Boba Fett in the comic book series. But Disney takes it, they bastardize them. They don't do a good job. They because they're not their characters. They'll bring it for fan service, but we want you to focus on our characters. And that's the biggest mistake, in my opinion.
If the thing is, though, if they want you to focus on their characters, they're like, I don't want to really follow 90% of the source material or anything, then you need to follow certain formulas of things that have always mattered in Star Wars if you're going to go in that direction and mean it. If characters die, they stay dead. If a person gets something, a limb or something cut off, that's just, or gets cut in half or whatever. that's usually rare, but these things matter. If you're going to have space battles, have space battles. I mean, I feel like Ahsoka, Felix, should have more space battles. I don't care if it's 8 episode, 9 episode, whatever, arc, whatever it is, a mini series, whatever you want to call it. It needs space battles. It's lacking a lot of the action. A lot of these Star Wars shows are lacking. Imagine if Book of Boobaloo had all this action, especially him.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking in the last 2 episodes, because right now they have a problem. A lot of people had expectations with Tron, right? You read the novels, you see this sharp military guy square away. And if you notice, I was mentioning this yesterday in an ABN live stream, that if you see the uniform of Tron in this episode, it's worn out. You have stains, and That means that Tron is not 100% there, because the Tron that I read in the books was a sharp guy, but he has been there for basically 10 years thinking about all this.
Right. You
better make Tron be a menace to society in the space right now, because when he goes back there, I don't care if the Chimera is all messed up. He's so smart that he can just use that messed up ship and still win the battle. He's smart enough, and that's the thing. They're gonna have a problem too, because you have all this new dead soldiers, the undead soldiers, and all this army, and whoever else can they bring out, because this Night Sisters, they can bring the dead. They can bring anybody.
Right.
I'm talking about they can bring Darth Maul, they can bring anybody they want, because they have that dark magic.
Yes.
They're gonna need the cavalry. They're gonna need to somehow say that they're gonna need to get Luke at some point, not probably in this series, but in the movie, they cannot do this alone. I don't think Ahsoka with these folks here, I don't think they're enough to go against Tron.
Yeah, and there's a lot of females in this show, which doesn't matter. But I have these discussions with some people who, they said, basically the Force is still female. I know we beat that to death, but it's just, or some people call this Charlie's Angels. They said Ahsoka's Charlie's Angels. You gotta, but which makes me laugh. But it's just Thrawn, he's got a little pudge, and I know these things shouldn't matter. Look, the dialogue that came out of him is fine, but then it's like, well, Ezra, look, spoilers, just throwing out spoilers there. Ezra is hiding in the shell people and stuff, and it's like, why? And then you look at his eyes, and these things shouldn't matter, Felix, but his contacts make him look weird with those blue contact eyes, and it's like, I just keep noticing these things about these shows, these Disney Plus shows. When I watched The Mandalorian, I was like, I'm enjoying this. Even season 2, I like this. But they have a strong villain. They have this. But it's like, as these shows continue to go on, I'm like, why am I supposed to like this? And so people are ready to always defend this show and how great it is. And I go, what is great about it? You got no Zeb. You've got things. If this ties into Rebels, this should tie into Rebels better. But it's just like Filoni and some of the other people working on it, they seem to want to change things that don't need to be changed. Like when I see Hera on the big screen or on there, then in live action, I want to see that personality that I saw in Rebels. That's what I want to see. And I feel she's a bit wooden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the big secret spoiler here, guys, everybody. Ezra, for a time, was hiding out on Dune with the Fremen. That's why his eyes were
okay. He was hiding on Dune.
The spice must flow. May the spice be with you.
He jumped into a new franchise. He went into Dune.
Why not?
Ezra just said, "Hey guys, how you doing?" I want to love these shows, but I agree with you. Like Ahsoka, I don't think it's a terrible show, but it's just overall a mess to me. And I know everybody's so torn about it, but it's like you say something bad about these shows like Ahsoka, and people are just mad at you, or they don't want to respond to you because how dare you say something about how great this show is and that we must praise Filoni. It's crazy, man. I'm not going to understand it, and I don't think watching these shows hurt you. I really don't.
Yeah.
But
let's look at it this way too, Cash. Remember when season 3 of Picard came out? And there were people who loved it and people who didn't love it because it didn't follow canon. What we already knew was previously established, especially on Deep Space Nine. Same thing is happening here from what I've heard. People are upset that things that were established in Rebels aren't being carried over here in Ahsoka.
Yeah, it bothers me because I don't think Rebels is a bad show. I just think that, if you already have the foundation, then just continue the foundation. It's really weird. I
mean, Rebels I think was one of the better outings at Disney. So
yeah, to me, Ahsoka is average unless something dramatically happens in the next 2 episodes. It could happen. I hope, because I'm trying to, I'm rooting for Star Wars. You know what I mean? I'm a Star Wars guy. So
right. You don't want it to fail. I know. Yeah.
I don't want it to fail, but they need to do. They potentially could do something if they use Strong properly. We get space battles, and I want to see a big loss for the heroes.
Yes.
I want to see something bad.
Right.
Even if somebody dies, I don't
Yes.
care. Even if somebody dies, I will be okay with it. You know what I mean? Because they need to do something drastic. Show the cut up hands, a leg. I don't care.
Yes.
Be aggressive.
Yes.
And I haven't seen a limb going and fly off in a long time. We need to see something like that you say, whoa, they're serious now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be nice.
Well, I mean, the Mandalorian did cut a Quarren in half with that door in the first episode of Mandalorian.
Yep, he did.
Does that count?
Yes.
Yeah, that counts. That was almost 3 years ago, right? It's 3.5 years.
Yeah, that's 3 years ago. Now it's the stabby.
Yeah.
And
then everybody survives the stab. I have a problem with that.
Me too.
It's a disrespect to Qui-Gon Jinn, and I know there was no Bat-Katan nearby, and I got it.
Yeah.
But a lightsaber is a very strong weapon. It melts through doors. It's basically boils you up. Obviously, you get once it gets out, you're okay. But inside, while it's inside of you, you're gonna be boiling.
Yeah.
Well, look at the door on Phantom Menace when they're trying to get to the blast door.
Yep.
I mean, look at that, and that's going through a person.
Yeah.
And Spartacus is absolutely right. They lost their sting. I mean, there was something elegant about the lightsaber. Now the lightsaber is just a whole thing.
I agree.
The lightsaber gave fear to to everybody. Like when they see this thing going up, everybody kind of quiet down, right?
Yep.
It was like, whoa. So
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we don't hate anybody for loving like Disney Star Wars. It's just I don't hate anybody. It's just, but they get so mad at you for not liking this and picking apart. It's like it's so easy to mock, man. It shouldn't be. Star Wars should be just when you watch a new Star Wars show, you're like, oh man, I'm so excited. But it's just every time I just keep picking these shows apart lately, and it doesn't matter if you watch it or not.
And Resolute Germ over on Rumble says, if they do kill off a Rebels character, I really want to see Chopper blasted to scrap.
Chopper. I like Chopper, but Chopper died.
But see, if they do that, then Dave Filoni won't have any work as far as voicing.
You'll never
any characters.
He'll last longer than R2.
When Sabine dies, and that's the other thing too, Felix, I don't understand why I'm supposed to like Shin. Where is the conversations yet between Shin and Baylan? Where is a little bit more background? Where is them talking more? I would like to see more of a connection between those two. And it's like, people just say she's just the apprentice and whatever. So it doesn't matter because, he's not really on a Sith or anything, but I just go, why? I keep asking the same question about Ahsoka. Why am I supposed to care about Shin? Why am I supposed to? I care about Baylan. Why am I supposed to care about this captain? They have like 2 or 3 lines, and they're not like.
I don't
think hear the intensity, timing. And I go, okay.
How they build the episodes and how everything is. There's not enough time to build up the story well.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But the thing is he saw a Jedi Master Padawan conversations between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and of course, then Obi-Wan and Anakin. I mean, so it's like saying, well, she's just the learner. Well, no, that's where Baylan should be espousing his wisdom. Even the Sith did that. Darth Plagueis the Wise was expanding, giving it to Palpatine. And of course, before that, I mean, it's all about teaching and passing on to the next generation.
Right.
You're going to have that interplay. And through that interplay, you get character building and understand where people are coming from. And groups and organizations while you're at it.
But I know where you're coming from with that, Baron. It would be nice for Baylan to say things like, well, this is what you're still learning, my young apprentice, or something like that. Because, I mean, Shin is still his apprentice as far as I know. But then I also feel like Felix... is Shin just going to kill him because he's a strong male? And we've had that joke with people too. That, Shin's just going to kill him because, the Force is female still. A-holes.
And it sounds like that's what's could happen, because you
I know,
you had a
he
conversation that Tron is saying, now, well, this guy didn't kill Ahsoka. Well, he's basically
right.
dispensable. Like we can get rid of this guy now. So I
And
don't
that
know what
was-
you know.
Yep.
But yeah, it's interesting what's gonna happen with this series, and then we're gonna have a big waiting time, right? Because
I
after
guess
this
so.
series,
Yeah. I
there's
don't.
not gonna be any Star Wars coming out, so there's gonna be a lot of waiting and see what happens next.
Yep.
Right. Well,
And-
comics and novels.
Let me ask you this, Felix. You know, with that waiting period eventually coming, what are you gonna cover on your channel? Or are you gonna talk more about the EU, or are you gonna talk about, you know,
Probably what ifs this happened, what if that happened, because there's nothing else, like in terms of Star Wars, like what if, I think I did a couple of those, like what if Leia joined the dark side. I did one of those, and that one was pretty good.
Nice,
that but it's just a speculation, because nothing concrete. You always guessing, oh man, I wish that they have done this. Like, for example, like we were talking there, like you imagine if they have done the story of that Darth Raven, like imagine Keanu Reeves becoming Darth Raven, and get this guy was the guy that from the director of the Dark Knight,
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. You imagine Christopher Nolan doing?
Oh my gosh, dude! If he, that'd
be
pretty
awesome.
Impressive. That would be pretty impressive. I
can imagine Christopher Nolan using Keanu Reeves, right, at Darth Raven, and using all this, because Christopher Nolan, the visuals are great.
Right.
Like Interstellar. Imagine it will be so great, but it's only a wish.
Yeah,
because I don't think it's gonna happen, because that would be perfect. Would be perfect.
No.
I love the what if ideas. You're talking about what if Leia went to the dark side. Are you familiar with the Dark Horse comic run that they had?
I remember. Yeah,
and they did have actually Leia being courted by the Emperor and Darth Vader actually, and I mean those are great. And those what if stories, again, apocrypha, but if you keep it within what George has, they can be great stories. It's like,
it's just that's why. That's what hurts a lot, because that there's material there, but there's nothing that's gonna happen with it unless a miracle happens, and then decide, okay, let's do this, because this is gonna be good for the whole franchise. And Darth Bane, that's the other one that I would love to see. Darth Plagueis, just Darth Plagueis with Palpatine. You imagine that story in the screen. People will go nuts, because you're gonna see all the evil side and how mastermind, Palpatine was, and how evil and how he make everybody look like, he was the puppet master and doing all this stuff. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yep. And Spartacus has a question. He says, "What do you think about the story that popped up about Guillermo del Toro was looked at to do a Star Wars movie at one time?"
Interesting.
Oh, that's old news. I remember hearing that way back. I think he turned it down. I think they did approach him. He said, "Nope, I don't want to."
So, if Guillermo del Toro was going to do something, what story you think would be good for him to do, like from the EU, in his style of filmmaking?
Oh, probably the Stormtrooper zombies, the Red Harvest.
Yeah, the Undead Troopers. Yeah, that one. Oh, yeah, that's right. I think he could have done something good there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but so Pacific. Are you gonna watch Ahsoka, or you just completely gonna skip it?
I'm gonna skip it. Okay. I'm taking a break from Star Wars, and a lot of that has to do with the fact of what I saw in the Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. So it's like, okay, I'm taking a break. It's just like with Star Trek. After seeing season 3 of Picard, it's like I'm taking a break from Star Trek.
Yeah, some other stuff that probably I'm gonna do. Some other stuff that probably I'm gonna do is like going to the lightsabers techniques and stuff on videos. Like that's another thing I can talk about. That's the part that I like the most out of the series. That every time I see that, I try to see if they're doing it right, if they're doing realistic blocks and stuff. Because that's the thing. Sometimes you get duels in this series, but they're a lot of choreography, right? They're not real moves, right? That you can tell that they're like placing the stuff. But one thing I like about Ahsoka's style is that it's samurai style. And all those blocks, a lot of the stuff that they were showing in this series is actually martial arts. I don't know who was the coordinator. It's not flashy as the prequels. Let me make that correction. But in terms of the blocks and how everything is placed, it's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. They're doing a good job about that. But.
Well, what about bringing that up? What about in the Phantom Menace? Because Ray Parks is martial arts, and he did a lot of the choreographing of that with that lightsaber battle, which a lot of people consider the best of the entire.
That's the best. It's very flashy. It's very flashy, very fast. But because there are experts, they can do that with their eyes closed. And I know that they spend, especially for the Revenge of the Sith, there was hours and hours of training that basically became second nature to them. But like real combat scenario, like we go to the real combat scenario, like not flashing your lightsaber, that you're actually fighting for your life, right? I see in Ahsoka a lot of the kendo. For example, I don't know if the one episode of Ahsoka, she goes to this stand like this. That's kendo, and that was shown in Attack of the Clones when Anakin was fighting Count Dooku. You see that he goes into this stand like that. That's kendo there. Like they're timing the opponent, seeing the open spots and see where they're gonna actually blow. So it's more slow. It cannot be that fast because you're trying to kind of like measure your opponent, and that's what I mean about real. You see that a lot of that in Ahsoka. It's more samurai.
Because even Hayden Christensen has said he has that muscle memory from doing all the lightsaber training for Revenge of the Sith that he can still do it to this day. And
and it shows in the episode of the World Between Worlds, he needed to tone down his level to fight with Ahsoka. And people got upset and saying, "Oh, that Ahsoka beat him, blah blah blah." No. He was toying with Ahsoka. That fight, if you see how he's fighting, he's letting Ahsoka move. He was able to strike her down anytime he wanted, but he was teaching her a lesson. But Anakin is at a different level, orders of magnitude than Ahsoka. Ahsoka have no chance with a prime Anakin. There's no chance she will win that battle.
Well, see, that's the one thing about it. Yeah, that's the one thing about it. If you actually went out there and had true, how combat was sort of, whether it be medieval style or Japanese style, like you're talking about, if you would have actual one, it'd be more like when Obi-Wan took out Maul in Rebels. A lot of the sword battles didn't last long. You think about some of the battles that they had during the medieval times, they lasted maybe 15 minutes. A lot of that was the praying going in there, but the strain of swinging weapons and such like that, and just the brutalness of it. If you had things that went longer, those were the ones that were of the epics. And people watching this stuff would be, that's boring. That's boring. That's why I found at least the Maul Obi-Wan final battle much more satisfying because it was much more believable.
It's realistic.
It's coming together. Yeah.
And Obi-Wan was studying Darth Maul. He was basically thinking about what kind of moves he's gonna do to me. So I need to be ready to, when he try to strike, I need to be able to counter and actually see if I can get an advantage to go in an open spot. And that's why you see from Obi-Wan, that was brilliant. It looked so fast. And actually in Ahsoka, she did the same with the what's her name? Maruka.
In season 2?
No, in episode 4. Episode 4 Ahsoka, she has like stands, and she just did the same thing. She just make the cut and that's it. It was a very quick blow. So that's more samurai, because
Right.
the samurais were very economical with their moves. You know, I mean, like they needed to be efficient.
Mhm.
They didn't want to be there fighting for 2 hours. You know, it's just
Right.
let's finish the fight quick. And
Mhm.
that's one good aspects
Yeah.
about Ahsoka. I like that about the Ahsoka series, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to do live steel combat with the Viking group I was belonging to,
Yeah.
and that's
Okay.
the thing, sizing up people. There were people out there I knew their moves and I could counter them, and of course, needless
Yes.
to say, there are people that knew my moves and they could, it's like, okay, how do I switch this up now to confuse my opponent in there? And yeah, it's interesting psychological warfare, more so sometimes than the physical warfare
Mhm.
when you're dealing with
Yeah.
swords and such.
So, do you like it doing the Viking stuff that you mentioned there?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I loved it. One of the reasons
okay.
why I stopped is because my back didn't like it.
Okay.
I used to go out there and I wore 60 pounds of chainmail, which is unusual. It's not the
Oh
typical
wow.
that they have. But I would also go out there without any armor. The only thing I would wear was the helm for safety reasons. With the blows to the head. But yeah, I loved it. It was great fun, and I died good. I'll tell you that right now. It's like I knew how to lay on the ground there and play dead.
So
Yeah.
Baron, are you saying that anytime you went out there and you did die, you felt like this? Are you saying you tapped into your inner Klingon?
He said, "Today is a good day to die."
Oh hell yeah! You go out there. We had the shields. We bang the swords and the shields and get everybody all pumped, and they would be doing it. Then we'd have the clash, the shields clashing against each other, the noise, trying to get up and over. Of course, we only were restricted to certain moves. If this was a real battle, we would do different moves. But it's like nothing below the waist, because you can armor everything pretty good except for the knees. You didn't want to have a knee shot. And I remember one guy came in with a battle axe on me, and we misstepped each other. And he came in with the axe, but it didn't hurt bad. But I heard him go, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I said, "Keep on going. I'm fine. Just go out there. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine." It's amazing the conversations you have with your opponents on the battlefield.
Interesting.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Interesting that style. Yeah.
Yeah, and the one thing also you learn how to be is how to pull blows, to be reserved, not let yourself go, because again, it's not scripted. I mean, obviously we have certain moves we're only allowed to do, not scripted. So anything can happen, but it's like you have to learn to restrain yourself. You have to keep within there. You have to have control. You have to have discipline. And there's a lot of people who do stuff like this that don't, and that's where you get people hurt.
Yeah, like that's one of the
I never
things
got hurt.
that my grandmaster require of everybody, at least when I was doing over there, is that every blow that you do, you need to stop 2 inches from the hit point. And if you're gonna hit it, you need to tell your opponent that I caught you here, and if you move and do the other cut and you're gonna hit the leg, I caught your leg right there, so that they are aware. So you're talking, because we have no equipment, because when you have kendo you have equipment, but I never did like full kendo. I did more like without kendo, but doing the same moves, you need to stop. And it's really hard, because he told us to like go all the way, and just right there when you're gonna hit, you need to stop right 0. So that hurts all your arms, because you need to be going back and forth at full speed, but stopping every time. And I guarantee you, if anybody of you guys do that for an hour, you're gonna be tired. I every time I do it, I'm just on sweat. Like it's so hard.
It's exhausting.
The discipline. It's exhausting, because you need to have
people
a
sit
lot
back
of
and say,
discipline.
yeah, I mean, when they sit back and say about, how it's unbelievable that you have the two opponents talking to each other in the middle of a sword fight. No, it's not. They're resting, and then they're doing the psychological barbs while they're resting.
Yes.
They need that little breather. It is a strenuous thing going out there. And for us, it's different, because our swords were one-handed. Of course, we had the shield with the other. The one thing that we learned how to do was roll the blade. So when we made contact, to roll, so it would just brush against the person, not pound into the person. So we were actually doing true contact with that. But
Okay,
I
and he's
remember
harder with
dealing
one hand.
yeah, and I remember dealing with people from the Society of Creative Anachronism who thought we were insane because we're using actual live steel, even though it's not sharp swords. And yeah, you can do damage to someone with these, but they'd go out there with their rattan swords and they literally pound on each other. They didn't have control. They didn't have restraint. And they talk about how they come back and they're all bruised and battered. And some guy broke a bone. It's like, yeah, that's because you guys are the crazy ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. That's one of the things I miss from Connecticut is that school. But I do it in the backyard because I'm preserving. I'm carrying on what I've been like Yoda said, pass on what you have learned. So I had the opportunity on this April to go to the convention in Tennessee, the ICC, and I was able to teach these techniques to kids. So I went with my son, helped me, and then we did some demos over there. My son knows how to block because he studied there, so he knows how to block my shots, and I can go full force against him, but I know that he's gonna block and he's not gonna get hit. So, but it was really fun. I really love that. So I'm probably thinking that eventually I want to teach what my grandmaster taught me because I need to pass it on to somebody else. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can teach it to. You can teach it to Paul, man, so then he can try to beat Mexican Iron Man next time.
Well, I was just going to ask you, since you were the official of the lightsaber duel between Mexican Iron Man and Paul of Fandomology last year.
Yeah.
Paul says that Mexican Iron Man cheated. As the official, do you see it that way?
That he cheated? That you say like that he cheated?
Yeah.
I think what I'm going by memory. I think what happens is that Mexican Iron Man knows how to talk the audience, right? So he took advantage of his talking to make a distraction. And if that's cheating, I don't know. I don't think that's cheating. He's just using that to his advantage, right? He's just talking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I don't think he cheated. He just like he knows how to talk.
I had this conversation with him what was it later on after all that happened, and he felt sorry for Paul, so he gave him a few points because when his parents interfered, his mom interference went to go and give him a pep talk. I said, well, but it was funny because I'm supposed to be like his manager, Felix, and the thing is like, dude, you got to do better, man. Like he was really cocky too. He was like, I'm going to be Mexican man, very, very cocky. I was like, oh boy, dude.
Yeah, and in those things you need to be more quiet and watch what the opponent is doing before talking anything, because you can trash talk all you want, but sometimes it plays against you. An example, like, and you can take anybody with no structure, and I did an experiment in the ICC. So I went with my lightsaber. This was the same day of the duel between Mexican Iron Man and Paul. There was some cosplayers, and there was one of the cosplayers that she was doing like a Chiss. She was like a Chiss cosplayer, like one of the officers of Tron, and she was kind of just playing around with no technique with her friend, right? And I told her, I'm gonna teach you this moves for 15 minutes, and then I want you to go back to your friend and tell me if you see something different. So I spent 15 minutes teaching her 10 moves. The 10 moves that I know. And I practiced with her very efficiently for 15 minutes, making sure that she knows every move. She got it. When she goes back to play with her friend's saying, what the heck happened here? Because she's like, every time I try to, throw something at her, she's blocking me efficiently and then brings me open and she's just stabbing me in the chest. And I'm like, yes, because if you do this with discipline, it works. It happens with any sort kind of fight, and you can talk about this, but if you do it efficiently, it works.
Yep, and I'm gonna play a clip just to go with that.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, God.
Are you familiar with the snowflake? Basically, like the clock going around where you do the hits. The coming down, shoulder.
Oh, okay. How you call it? again?
Well, we called it the snowflake because that's what the Vikings called it. With their technique. And
yeah,
like,
I haven't heard
like
of that, but I know what you mean.
Okay, yeah. I don't like that different
yeah,
names from different places.
Yeah, but there's basically 10 moves. So for the samurai, there's 10 moves that can happen. It happens so fast because the blade is so light. If you don't know what's going on, in 3 seconds you're all caught up. You basically more than half pieces of the because these swords are really sharp. The closest thing that you could, the Sontoku knife, the ones that that they use for sushi, and they have double blade. These things are extremely sharp. So basically, is a top hit right on the head. It's like that. Then you go another hit like this, another hit like that.
Yep.
Then you go a hit like this completely. Then another hit like that. Then another hit like this.
Yep.
Then you do the golf, and then you stop on the middle. And
right, exactly.
It happens so fast. If you get good at it, it's really hard to stop because by the time the other person knows, unless the other person know how to block, you're gonna get all caught up. It's gonna end like that. So all those 10 moves is all you need to like start learning kendo and samurai. Once you dominate that, you can get fancy, start doing twirls and all that, and it's really fun. I found it super fun. So it's
you go through there and you name each one a number and you start telling the person do 1, 5, 4, and watch them try to and get that muscle memory and do that randomly. And so it's like before they know it, okay, that's how I do it. And
exactly. The magic happens. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you can move those blades so fast that they look invisible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, though they. Oh, nice.
This is a plastic one. This is a katana. So I use this one for practicing, but this is like the katana one because then you can go You can go like that, right? But I have the when you go to the this is your regular lightsaber, right? But with the katana, the good thing about the katana is that where the blade is, right? So when you do the cuts, you actually placing the blade on the right side. With the lightsaber, you don't know how to do that. You need to kind of imagine that in your head, right? So
correct.
So it's good. I love this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when you get into sword fighting and such, it's just fascinating work. Now, my big question is, and I'm watching the battle between Paul and Mexican Iron Man. I actually think that Mexican Iron Man was holding back. Did you get that idea?
Okay.
He probably was.
I think he was holding back by watching that going on.
But I think Paul got better because I actually was teaching him the moves this year because we're talking about 2 years ago. That fight was 2 years ago. Yeah. What we're talking about now is I remember that because he went to ICC again this year, and when we were in the hotel, I was with him showing the 10 moves, and he was following me. So he got a little bit more practice now. And then at one point, I told Paul, I'm gonna do this the way I do it, so you can see how fast it can go.
Yeah.
And then he was not expecting the screams that I was gonna do, because that's the other thing, that's the other thing. When you do this, it's not just quiet. You need to scream.
Right.
In Japanese, it's a kia. You do kia, kia, and it's really loud. And I did this so loud that that Paul got scared. He said, "Man, you became somebody else. You basically got into this mode." And I told him, "Yes, because when you're doing it, you cannot just be happy, and you need to put the fear of God in the opponent. You need to actually be aggressive and scream. And you see that the samurais, you saw the last samurai, right?
I did.
Yeah, the movie. What are they doing when they go in the horses? They're screaming their lungs out. They're screaming because they want to put fear into the opponents.
Right.
Yeah, they want to catch their opponent off guard. They want to make sure that their opponent can't focus.
Yes, and they're screaming. They're saying, but what they're screaming, and the other opponent, they just fear. And that's a go back to the Force, right? Fear leads to the dark side, right? So if you're into the dark side, then you cannot concentrate that well. You're just trying to be just aggressive, And that's when you need to have imbalance, right? And that's the thing about the Japanese arts is kind of like you need to be in balance. You can be aggressive, but you cannot just be aggressive. You need to be also in your zone. And that's the beauty about Star Wars to me. I have two aspects of Star Wars, the martial arts and that, but also the religious part, right? So that's kind of like the two things that Star Wars brings that I love. Yeah.
And when it comes to the Star Wars movies, which ones, besides Return of the Jedi, which one is a close second?
Well, my second is Return of the Jedi. The first to me was Empire. That's for me, Empire. There's nothing that beats Empire. That's the basically the Rushmore. After the Return of the Jedi, my third is Revenge of the Sith, and it's because of the theology aspects inside that movie that they're like, from all the movies, it's the one that shows us the most to me. The corruption of the dark side and the evil, and how people get clouded. Like Yoda said, the dark side clouds everything because they just can handle that evil cloud of the Emperor is just clouding every move of the Jedi. It's so sad to see, that Yoda, all that powerful Jedi, cannot see what's the plan of the Sith. It's crazy. So to me, that's what I like that one. I don't know. Fourth, that would be the original one. It's funny that the original one is fourth, and it's not that it's bad. It's just that I see some aspects on the other ones that I like more than. But obviously, the original is the original, and that would be my top four. And then from there, you go to other ones. And I love Rogue One. That's what I like. When I talk about Andor, it's because Rogue One to me is the side of the soldier. What is required from the troops.
Yep.
Because let's say that you have an ace, right? You have this pilots, you have this grave aces that fly on the sky, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing their job over there. Let's say that's Luke Skywalker, right? That's your top dog over there that will destroy the Death Star. But somebody need to do the dirty work to get the plans. And that's
somebody need to do all the grunt work.
Exactly. The dirty work. Somebody needed to die to get those plans. And those
many bosses.
Yes. Yep. And that would be another one. You imagine that other one be Rogue 2 or whatever they do. That would be a good story to see. What happens to the for the Death Star 2. Yeah, so to me, that's what I like Andor, because I'm seeing it from that aspect. And I know it could be boring, but to me, seeing that the struggle, that there's actually real people behind the scenes,
exactly,
the Jedi, because you see all this other inner lingering, people that see what's going on with the war and all that. It reminds me a little bit of Saving Private Ryan in a way, they go into their D-Day, somebody needed to do it, and it doesn't look pretty. It's not probably appealing to a lot of people, but it happened.
Right.
It happened. And obviously the storytelling was good too, but that's me. I don't know.
Yeah, there was actual sacrifice, and there was some of the best space battles in Star Wars we've seen in I don't know how long.
Oh yes, that and Rogue One. Oh, I love that. That was great. Scarif was awesome. I wish that they have more of the land of the stormtroopers on the sea, because I know that they cut out a lot of those parts. And I wish we could have a chance to see Darth Vader. You imagine Darth Vader on the field?
Yeah.
That would have been nice to see.
Oh, man. Oh, it would be awesome.
Him leading the charge.
Oh, yeah, like he as an officer, this guy, leading the troops there and, using the Force, but also throwing that lightsaber around, cutting everybody up. Then you see the stormtroopers. I would love to see that, but, missed opportunity.
You got a little bit of grittiness with Empire Strikes Back with the Hoth battle, and it wasn't one that was pretty for the rebellion.
That's for sure.
So,
yeah, but Empire is like it's the best. It's perfect to me.
It's just so it has solid dialogue. It's just that movie is just great.
It raises the stakes. Yoda warning Luke about going to face Vader because Yoda knows that Luke isn't ready. Although Luke's so ready to get back out there and help the rebellion, He doesn't listen.
No.
And the love story is perfect.
Yes.
It perfectly blended with the action, like like the Leia
Yes.
and Han.
Mhm.
I love you. I know everybody knows
Yeah.
that. Like it's kind of like it's in the pop culture. That movie is a staple. Like you see the evil of Darth Vader as he speak. You know what I mean? Like that guy was evil, and
Yes.
yeah, and then you see the struggle. The failure of the hero, right? When Luke gets his hand cut, he's in a big L. They're like he doesn't. That movie ends. That's the ending that I want to see in Ahsoka right now. I want to see something bad. I don't care. I don't care if Sabine dies. I don't care if what's his name? I draw blank. Ezra. You imagine it?
Yes.
I don't care if Ezra died or whoever. Like,
yes,
somebody needs to make a sacrifice here.
Somebody needs to make a sacrifice that impacts the rest of the story.
These episodes need to be an hour too. I mean, 40 plus minutes isn't bad, but can't they go a full hour? I don't know. I think there's some laziness going on. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the ending with Empire, of course, then you had Empire from Wish, which was The Last Jedi. You take a look and compare the two. Here you have in The Last Jedi, basically, that's all that's left of this quote-unquote resistance. And they're sitting around having a kumbaya moment. But at the end of Empire, it's solemn. I mean, there's hope. You see hope in them, but you still see it's very solemn. We're going to get Han, and they're looking out, and Luke is trying to figure out his new hand. It's solemn still, but there's still a glimmer of hope. While when you saw that with The Last Jedi, it's like, let's sit around and start singing campfire songs. Isn't it great? No, you got your ass handed to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
There should be much more, soul searching. Contemplation, you might say, which is the two big differences between what they did there and what, in this case, Irvin Kershner did with Empire.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, that, the Ahsoka needs to have that now. They need to do that. That same kind of aspect, of a big loss. Either somebody dies, somebody gets a hand cut, something bad, Tron goes into the new galaxy. Oh my, this is big. And at least at the end, we see hope. Either, Ahsoka says, I need to call Master Luke. We need help. They accepting that they're not enough for this new threat that is strong with his death troopers. And try to see if they can make a movie. Because I don't know if doing season 2 will be enough. They probably need to go directly to the movie that they're planning, and get this Avenger-like thing. But they need to do it right, because if it's not done right, it's not gonna be good either. So,
well, they want to do all this multiverse stuff. If it's not Marvel, if it's this, I just think it's just gets to the point. It gets lazy. Personally, if you like it, great. But even in Across the Spider-Verse, there was this multiverse stuff. Like, I get it, but the way that it plays out, I'm just like, I have problems with it. And people are like, I hate those takes. Like, people get mad at you.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
They got mad at you?
No, they get. Oh no! Somebody did get mad at me when I was doing some nitpicking of Across the Spider-Verse. They're like, "No, it's not the same character in the comics." I'm like, "Why can't it be? It's already written.
Right.
It's just if you guys like that, it's a different Miguel. It's a different this." I said, I just feel that's a cop out. I really do.
Right.
But that's just
it is.
I just feel it's a cop out to say that it's a different character. No, why should it be this way? I liked Into the Spider-Verse so much, and then I looked at it, but it's like everything. It's even the last Doctor Strange film. This whole thing about how it has to tie into WandaVision, fine, and then but it's crazy, and people are like, it's just bad. It's just, I think it's lazy when they just keep doing all this world between worlds and stuff. I don't know. Like, it was cool to see Anakin on and actually get time on screen. I was like, oh, cool. Good to see Hayden finally, because I feel he was not used much in Kenobi, but it's just like, once again, with this show like Ahsoka, why is this show even matter? It's just I want it. I want it to be impactful. I want to feel something. I don't feel much.
I get your feeling. It's just that I think it's like I say, it's generational. I think what you feel about it or what I feel about it, that it's not probably what a person who grew up with the Clone Wars and Rebels, that they were kids. Like I think it's everything based on a point of how is Obi-Wan saying everything is from a certain
point of view.
It's from a certain point of view. My point of view of Star Wars is different, like from yours or from Baron, from Pacific.
Right.
You're gonna see it differently. And I think it's hard to be able to accept other people's opinions and stuff. And then, like you say, there's a problem with people not being able to talk about it and listen to the other person. And I think that's when the problem begins, because you cannot just impose your opinion on something and expect that the other person is just gonna think exactly the same as you. That's not gonna happen.
Yep.
The big thing is.
Go ahead, Baron.
Okay, and the big thing is, if you have opinion, back it up. I mean, don't spout something out there and it's the end all be all because I said it. And going back to what you're saying about Mouse, will you stop that? About the thing about loss. I mean, really, if you take a look at the original trilogy, you had a lot of loss from the first film. Luke lost his foster parents. He lost his master. Leia lost her planet. Then you go to the next film, and we lost Han because he was carried away and sent someplace, and a loss of innocence when Luke has that. When it's revealed, that Vader's his father, and then Return of the Jedi again. You had more loss, but it's hopeful one. Obviously Vader dies, the loss of Vader, but yet he comes back to the light, and of course Yoda's gone. But it's a passing of the torch. We're teaching, and out of the loss, the new generation taking the torch, and it's all about teaching. And I think that's something that a lot of with the new canon, Disney has. They don't have that understanding. There's a purpose behind the loss. And what is it going to affect in the future? We saw that with the with the prequel trilogy, how that leads into the original trilogy. Obviously, from hindsight, but we can see where is the torch passing. Qui-Gon passing the torch to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trying to pass the torch to Anakin. The torch being passed on to Anakin from Sidious, because he made the wrong choice. It's all about loss and how you do it. So a character getting killed off is not a problem. Just don't have him die like a little soy bitch like Han Solo did.
Right.
Yeah, that was so bad. I hated that so bad. Man. It's just the Last Jedi. It's a sore spot. That is, I think that's the cost of all the problems that we have.
I just want I want to watch a show like I did recently, this One Piece show with Lord Crit and some other people, Phil McCracken and stuff, and say, wow, they took a lot of the source material and they made this. They have a good budget and it's making a lot of hardcore fans happy. But with Ahsoka, I thought it was one of the lowest rated Disney shows, maybe Disney Plus shows. I'm not. I haven't looked at all the numbers, but I thought when it started it wasn't, because if you don't watch Rebels, how are you going to know who Ahsoka is? And not that you have to, but or Clone
but isn't that a hindrance to any show?
I think so.
That you have to know what happened in a previous show to know what they're referencing in this show, and
or even worse, a comic book or a book. Or the fully understand is you have to read this book.
And I understand also why stuff like the Sony thing Across the Spider-Verse is making money and so on. And there's things I did like about it, but it's just people want to call your takes retarded and this and that. You're just like, I got into an argument recently with somebody, but he's a big Spider-Man fan, and that's okay. But like, I feel this way because when I read the lore, it's the same with Hawkeye. It's the same with a lot of this stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, they could have done this, and this, that's already written, and it's like, oh, but it's a different character, and I'm like, well, aren't we just making excuses for some poor writing, or we do this multiverse stuff because we're lazy? Sometimes it works, but other times it doesn't.
Don't be fooled by it.
With everybody going to a multiverse now, it's just gotten old.
It is.
Yeah. And don't let Cash fool you. Don't let Cash fool you. He's all upset because of representation. There wasn't a Spider-Man with a magnificent chin. So that's the reason why he didn't like it.
And I gotta give you my perspective of the Spider-Man, because my both of my kids, my daughter and my son, they love Into the Spider-Verse. And for them, again, generational, going back to the generational.
I think that's it too, man.
I do. Kids right now, they love that movie. Because they're not looking into the story too much. They're looking more about the characters, how they look like, the different costumes, the different versions of the same character.
Right.
Because you can get into different comic books, different, the Spider-Man 2099. Versus, and you see all these cameos coming out into one place. Yeah. That's kind of like what attracts them to watch the movie. And they love the movie. I'm talking, and then the music also. The music that is behind there. Also, my son loves the music in behind, the hip hop there. So there's a lot of other aspects into why somebody likes or not like those movies. The same with Star Wars. Coming back generations. It's whoever, it's from the point of view of where you go. But making somebody not understand your opinion, that's a different story. I don't get that. And I have seen this not in other streams too. There has been problems with people not able to kind of like fully understand stuff from either side. You know what I mean? And then they start fighting, and
they start fighting, and then it's like the whole fandom, and it's like then the media just uses this to attack people. It's crazy. Like or the studios and whatever. It's not, but I don't know, especially if you're a person who analyzes a lot of stuff, you're like, why am I supposed to like this? Why am I supposed to like Into the Spider-Verse? Why is this Indiana Jones film irritate me to an extent? Why, it's like these shows should all be really popular. And yes, you can blame oversaturation of a lot of comic book movies, but DC's the same way, Felix. It's like, where is his greatness again? Like, can we see the greatness? I know you guys have it in you, but do you care enough to show that? Do you care enough to stop changing things that don't need to be changed? Can we get something like Superman again? Can we get something like Batman 89 again? Can we get something like the Nolan trilogy that, however you felt about it, it made a lot of people happy? So can we get that again? And when these movies and these shows are not doing well with viewerships, or not doing well with the numbers, and even these budgets are bloated, it's like, you guys got to change. And then the writer strike comes. It's like, oh, good, another writer strike. So the next one is 5 years from now. So we're going to have more crappy reality shows and more crappy that is just not that great. And there's barely anything new that you're like, oh, this is something really cool. And even Star Wars, it's like, but it must be that the member berries and stuff is the same thing, I would say, with Picard season 3. There's so many member berries that it's like, oh, I remember this, and I remember. It's like, but is that all it takes to make you happy? If it is, that's cool. But other people, it's not. And then it's fights that break out. How can you say this? How can you say that? Even on Q&A, it's like, it's crazy.
And Felix, this is what we call the.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Segment of the show.
Yeah. Usually it starts sooner.
And you guys probably, you could probably remember. I used to collect a lot of comics. I'm a DC guy, so I was doing that for a long time, especially during college. And I miss, like when you go to a comic shop, right? You were able to talk to people. Argue about theories and stuff. Everybody was fine. And there was heated arguments and stuff, but at the end, it's like nothing personal. It's just theories. I think this is gonna happen this way. No, it's gonna happen that way. I know, but no, this happened in that edition, blah blah blah. And it was okay. The problem that
it's
I see now on the YouTube space is that people cannot accept other people's opinions as opinions.
Right, exactly.
And as a take. That's it. It's not telling you you need to believe this. You know, you need to like no. It's just an opinion. That's it.
And when you say something is crap or something, you ask the question, well, why do you think it's crap? And there's a number of people out there. It just is. And I'm
I've heard
well,
that on live streams.
That's not a very good reason.
No.
Why do you feel it's crap? What do you hate about this so much? What does this annoy you so much about?
Explain why you hate it. Explain why you hate it.
Right.
And then
is it the story? Is it the dialogue? Is it the acting?
Yep. I mean, when you have people, go ahead.
I was going to say, just like I did just not too long ago when I was explaining why The Last Jedi, the ending sucked, and I gave examples. Why? Boom, boom, boom. This is why. This is why. Now, you might not agree with me, but I gave you reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's important.
I mean, when you're watching a thing and even the whole thing about Rey, you finally hear something about her origins, like, oh, they finally did something. And it's like, okay, this is what I wanted out of the movie. Now I never want to watch it again because this is what I wanted. I'm like, oh, this movie is really this bad, but I wanted this. So, all right, here's a clap. Never watch this again or whatever. But I want these movies to make you that just feel something. But it's crazy. I have these conversations with other people, and they're like, you go on watch parties, and people are like, oh, you're bringing the mood down. Or like, well, then you shouldn't be on there anymore, unfortunately, because they think you're just bringing the mood down because you have to agree with them about the show. Like, saying this and that. This is how the person feels. So, we're just basically making other people leave.
It's not so much about how the person feels; it's how the person's looking at it from a different perspective than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the fandom could learn. Like, there's certain aspects from other stuff. For example, if I go to theology, right, and there's some aspects called apologetics, right?
Right.
It's meaning like if you're gonna put your point, right. Yeah. And you're going to explain why you think this is right or what somebody else should think, oh, I should reconsider this aspect or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you need to have valid points to get that person to where you are, to get to the same spot. And once you get to that same spot, then you build from there to see if that person accepts your point. But you cannot push your point so hard that that person start feeling uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So, and they need to accept all ideas, right? And I think that's something that as a fandom, from any fandom, right? From Star Wars, Star Trek, comics, whatever, everybody should be able to listen to everybody else's opinion and respect that opinion, and say, hey, that's an interesting point. I get why you don't like The Last Jedi, like Barons was saying. I don't like that Jedi because of this, and that. And I think some people are not cannot do that. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it's too bad we all can't have the the mindset of the dude.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, we're not like the dude a lot. We're kind of a little more kind of another way, kind of like this.
Do you see what happens, Larry, when you fuck a stranger in the ass?
That's usually how it ends up out there.
That's funny. Oh man,
it's great. It's just, but and the other thing is too, they wouldn't. They'll watch Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like that's under Disney. Okay, that's cool, but they're not. Say Babylon 5. Some of these old shows, they don't. It's like, this is not Star Wars to me. This is not Star Trek to me. It's like, but there's other sci-fi out there that you can give a chance to. Maybe you'll like it, but they just like, no, it's not. I can't do this. I can't watch this. This is slow. This is this. This is that. Yeah.
Well, to call it that the religion fanatics is beyond that. They're cult members, these people, because you dare insult what they have. They consider it a personal assault upon them, and that's how they react with the same venom that someone who's part of a cult is. Well, again, like Felix is saying here, with theology and all that, you can sit back and debate. I mean, me as a Missouri Synod Lutheran probably have an interesting debate with you being a Roman Catholic. Also going across other, like dealing with a Hindu or a Jew or a Muslim,
Right.
and they sit back and having discussions back and forth theologically. And yeah, they can be passionate, but still are respectful, and point by point by point. When
And
you
you need to, because
you can't do that.
And you need to, because when you, for example, in the case of theology, you need to also study other religions, not the one that you're concentrating on something, but you need to know what other people are coming from. So when you have a conversation, you can actually understand their point, and then you can go back and say, this is my point, and I believe this because of bomb, bomb, bomb. I understand that you believe this other stuff, right? And you have all these arguments, boom, boom, boom. But I'm coming from this point, and trying to, like, especially with religion, you're trying to, you cannot, you're trying to make peace, right? It's more like a spiritual thing. You're trying to make everybody, be in harmony. That's kind of like the basics, the recipe. But arguing, for nonsense, and it's sad that it's happening in the fandom. It translates.
Yeah, it is.
Fandom. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Well, yeah, you dared question Jim Jones. You dared question Reverend Sung Young Moon. How dare you, do that? It's like, don't you know? Don't you know that, how dare you question anything? Well, that's what, we're being told that with science. We're just talking about that earlier, Mike and I. It's like, no, everything needs to be questioned. Everything. There's nothing wrong asking a question. And if you and you know what? And the perfect answer sometimes, and it's a good answer, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, that is a perfectly cromulent answer. I love that line from The Simpsons, by the way, cromulent. But it's like, I don't know. There's something that to look in furthermore.
Yeah.
But
and you never know what you can learn. You never know what you can learn. Right. Like you can surprise people, with stuff that they probably don't know that happened that way. Like like, for example, I'm gonna give you one little example that I've used, that I found people that don't know about this specific aspect, and they get surprised about it. Everybody in here probably have heard about the Big Bang Theory, right?
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What if I
something?
And everybody have a general idea that the Big Bang Theory is kind of like it was like, from that point, boom, you get the Big Bang, and that's how the galaxies are expanding, and it's in constant expansion as we speak, right?
Yeah.
So, what if I tell you, you would say, who made that theory? Usually, say physicists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But what if I tell you that physicist was more than a physicist?
Oh. Yeah.
Right. Guess what other profession that physicist had? His name is
priest.
George Lemaitre. Yes, he was a priest. And then you think, and people will say, oh, but Big Bang theory is usually put into atheism, right? Like, people, oh no, that's how everything got created. But no, like, he used that theory as a physicist. He proved all the formulas, but he was trying to explain the creation of the world, of the universe, by science. But he was a priest, so he was trying to formulate what we have in Genesis 1-3 with a formula, and boom, you get science, you get a Big Bang. So stuff like that, you learn stuff this way. So the same applies to everything else, like with fandoms and stuff. You need to allow everybody else to, like, get the ideas and stuff, so you can probably teach somebody else something, right? Probably they're not aware of. And
well, it's just crazy. Like, people actually don't want other people on their panels and this and that because of their different opinions. It's ridiculous. We're humans. What are you guys doing? That's silly. But they do it. They just they want people to just agree with them.
I mean, I'm saying this as a joke. Why do you think Bear goes kicking and screaming every time I want a Babylon 5 stream?
I know. He does.
But you guys have a good example. You guys sound like you have a good thing here in this channel, and you're listening to people from every aspect. They've given their opinions. You listen to them. You get back. You put your argument, and then you can have a nice conversation. I think that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
Well, just like you being Roman Catholic with the. Oh, sorry.
Well, we moved. Go ahead, man.
That's the thing about the channel. I've never wanted it to be an echo chamber. I
Yeah.
want it to be a place where people are welcome to voice their different opinions, whether it be pop culture or anything else.
And we
But then he
feel the
berates
same
us after
way.
the show
We
about
feel the
not
same way
following along
when.
the.
Yep. We feel the same way, Felix, about when we move around other channels. We don't want to ever be an echo chamber. You know,
No.
it's just that's not what we're playing a game, we're doing something else. We just want people to have fun, and we're happy to listen to other people's opinions. But when somebody says something, this is crap, it's like, well, why is this crap? Or this is good. Well, why do you think it's good? And they just say it's just good. And I'm like, I wish you would say more about it.
Well, I mean, you know, like Felix says, "What the may the fourth be with you, may the Lord be with you." As a Lutheran, we have another saying too.
Right.
We Lutherans have another saying that goes along with that. We have that same one as well as "What does this mean?" So again, for us, it's always questioning. Always, what does this mean? What does this mean? And that's how I approach fandom and storytelling, and why I sometimes have that critical view where people are gushing about how great this is. It's like, no, what does this mean? You know, do you follow the story? What does this mean?
Yeah.
Or even saying,
I'm not. I'm not seeing it from
that.
your point of view. So please explain it to me. Why you think it's so good? Give me your point of view. Let me see your point of view so I have a better understanding. Let me stand in your shoes so I can understand where you're coming from.
Right.
And that's what happens. Some people just want to bash for batching too. They hear somebody else. And they just basically repeating exactly what other person says without actually explaining why you don't like or like something. And that's happening a lot right now.
Well, it's the same thing. Yeah, exactly, Felix. And there's the same stuff with these. I like to call them the shill council. Like, you guys you have no problems with the show at all. You're just sitting there on the panel and saying everything is great. So if somebody comes on here and says it's not, so you're going to be upset with them. It's just crazy to me that somebody wants to have a channel where they just say, "Oh, everything's great about this show." You know, what are you guys gonna? You wanna hold Filoni or something like a little baby? Oh, little Filoni, oh, he's so nice. But it's ridiculous to me, man, that there's also these shill channels. There are that just sit there and say everything's so great about the show, and then if you come on there, you probably feel like you're about to be attacked. You know, so then you have to defend yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's take a step back to, of course, Felix's third favorite film, Revenge of the Sith. And there's one problematic line in there. It was George Lucas trying to do a little dig and jab at George W. Bush. But if you're not with us, you're against us. And only a Sith believes in absolutes. Well, ironically, how ironic. The Jedi are the same way.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's one stream. Like the Sith is one stream, the Jedi is another stream, and that comes from the yin and yang, right? From so you need to. That's why they call that symbol that it looks like like the little two balls, and so that's the balance. And it's funny because the original, I think the original Jedi Temple had that kind of similar symbol too. There is kind of like very similar to that original.
Something like that.
So yes, they're stream, like you're saying. The Sith and the Jedi are. Streams. Yep.
Right. I mean, if you want to go by the EU, you can see that the Jedi became more extreme as they went along, becoming more monastic. Where you had in the EU, you actually did have Jedi marrying, and you had family lineages and family coming off of that to progressing on to a much more extremist viewpoint with the Jedi. Makes you wonder, with the Sith, how did that go with them and their growth? And that's, this is something I don't expect to see from Disney. I hate to say. Now, they want to talk about doing this, 25,000 years ago, birth of the Jedi. I don't think they got the mental wherewithal to do these questioning things about how would this come about. And just like you were saying, the yin and yang, which of course very influential with Lucas with the Force. Anybody who wants to know, take a look at the South Korean flag. It's on there. If you want a quick reference. But I don't have faith in Disney, just by what we've been seeing here. Can you follow along and have something where, what does this mean?
Pacific, can I share something here? Like, I want to ask Baron,
Absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
something about this novel right here. Where is it? How I can share here?
Oh, yeah.
Your screen.
Hopefully, it's something is read.
No. But if you haven't read it, like, have you seen this one right here? Let's see.
I've seen it. I have not read it. I know of it, and I know that they've done the Birth of the Jedi back then.
Yeah, this is the last Legends novel published before they sold to George Lucas. And this one right here, you see that they don't have a lightsaber; they have an actual katana. It's because this was before the invention of the lightsaber. So this is kind of like where they were in balance. So if you haven't read this one, Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void, basically is way before. They talk about Ashla and what's the name for Ahsoka?
Bogan.
Bogan. Ashla and Bogan.
Okay.
Yeah. They were like moons, and they get into deep about these people were imbalanced. They were not either light users or dark users. They were completely in control. So this is the beginning. So if you haven't seen that,
I've been meaning to. Yeah, I've been meaning to, but unfortunately, about that time, I was so busy. I wasn't into Star Wars at that time. A lot of I was busy bringing up kids and working and stuff like that.
Yes,
I'm catching up now on something. I know a lot of stuff of EO to a point, and I knew that existed, and they explained all that there with that book, which makes me wonder why Disney? We don't need to. I mean, if you're going to do it,
exactly, you know what? They have all this material there. They could make a good movie with that novel. That novel is awesome. They explain everything.
Felix, what do you know? Kathleen Kennedy said they have no roadmap. Come on. What do you know? You don't know anything. Kathleen Kennedy said it herself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. But yeah, that's
they go after you, did you?
That's great. You know, like it's Star Wars. Yeah, let's see what happens with Star Wars in the next 5 years. Let's say hopefully we get into a better place. I doubt it, but I hope
you can still buy that novel, Dawn of the Jedi. Is that what it's called? Right?
Yes, Dawn of the Jedi. Just go. It's like probably $7 or something like that. You can get it.
Yeah,
but it's really good. I actually did a video on that novel a while ago.
Sweet.
I go, and I think if you go into, I don't know when exactly it was, but if you go to my videos, you can. I actually go through that novel because I think
I found it. I think I found it. So
you found it?
I'll go ahead and not only share your channel again on the screen, but I will grab the link.
There it is, paperback. Yeah,
that's the Heart of the Jedi, and there was another one that I did on the Balance. It's called You see that one, Balance there? What if? I think that's the one. The 1 year ago, that's the Heart of the Jedi that I did, and then the other one, there was one that I did on. It's called Balance, and it's based on that novel. Because that's the time I read that.
Well, they're all for the paperback. They want 44 and 5 cents for.
Oh, really? At one point, it was around when it was really, really hot. It was around $800, $500, $800. Yeah.
Oh, the Heart of the Jedi. Oh,
yeah.
The Heart of the Jedi, but this is the Dawn of the Jedi. Yeah.
The Dawn of the Jedi is if you look at the Balance, that one there, that's when I talk about the characters in that novel. Yeah.
Right. See, that's why I don't believe in Grey Jedi. I mean, a lot of people are clamoring for Grey Jedi, which I don't believe in because, again, the balance is of the two. So that's neither Jedi nor Sith.
Yes.
The Jedi and Sith came from the breaking of that. So you can't have Grey Jedi. You just have someone who's balanced in the Force, and have something completely different. Because if you start saying Jedi, then you start leaning to light side heavier than the dark side, and that is one of the reasons why I know there's a lot of people that think the Grey Jedi are great and all that. And I've found that people who play quote unquote Grey Jedi in the role playing games, they like doing that because it gives them their excuse to play a Jedi but be an asshole about it.
Oh,
It's like no.
that's an
not
interesting
what
way
it's
to
about.
put it.
Yeah. So I mean, as it goes, is that's the balance. They're not Jedi. They're not Sith.
Mhm.
They're in that balance. So that's why I'm not a believer in the Great Jedi, which I think Filoni's even wanting to push now. It is not a Lucas idea. It is not a Lucas idea. Not at all. Lucas was against that.
And gentlemen,
It's just-
as we are approaching the 2-hour mark, let's go ahead and wind things down. And Felix, as our guest, please go ahead and promote yourself.
Yeah, you can find me at Star Wars Theology on YouTube, and I also have a Facebook page and group. You can find me at Star Wars Theology. Then I put stuff there too. Yeah, and then you can see me also, in the backgrounds of Echo Base Network. I'm gonna be there doing moderating stuff, and I pop up in Fandom, and also in Coffee and Carbon sometimes.
Okay.
Okay.
And yesterday, and now I also pop out in your chats too, Pacific, from time to time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate when I see you stop by or anyone else stop by. And I know one thing, I try to catch everybody's videos, and I've been enjoying the stuff that you've been doing on your channel. I like hearing your perspective on Ahsoka, especially since I'm not watching it. So it's always nice to get your perspective and other people's perspective, the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
He started
And I
doing
also,
cash.
I also created. I have my own virtual assistant.
Oh,
Her name
nice.
is called Eva Skywalker. So I think you see her there. I created that avatar. So I was I did a little bit of research, and I found out how to do it, and it's pretty cool. The thing is, like, it has its downfalls and his pros and cons, but technology is moving on, so it's gonna be pretty interesting. Schools and work are gonna need to watch out about this because they need to step up the game.
Well, it's better
Absolutely.
than Ray Palpatine, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes because if you can write a little script, you can then use voiceover, and it can help you, especially if you don't have that much time. That is my problem. Sometimes it helps on that, but I'm just testing that technology. So, but basically you can put face over the avatars and all that, and then you can basically create voices or use already voices that are available in the libraries. So it's pretty interesting, and I think that's
Did you
gonna
hear that,
evolve.
people? Oh, sorry. I was going to say, do you hear that, people on the strike line? Be afraid.
Yes, they should be afraid because
Yes.
Felix is finding ways to expand his content. Other content creators are finding ways to expand their content to keep growing and keep, evolving, innovating, whatever you want to use. But
and it's being used. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a moment that you don't want to know the difference. It's getting there.
Yeah, we are the new Hollywood. Every one of us who produce content on a platform like YouTube, Rumble, or Kick, or Twitch, we are the new Hollywood. We are the ones that people are going to for entertainment.
I like to think of myself as being the new Ed Wood out there. So,
but yeah, thanks, Pacific. This has been a great opportunity for being your channel, and I hope the best on your journey too. I know that you're doing good. You're doing your content, and keep it up there too.
Thank you, and I appreciate the support I get from you and so many others. I appreciate you taking time from your Sunday to join us today and talk about your channel and then get into this great Star Wars discussion where none of us were yelling and screaming at each other, trying to bite each other's heads off.
Yeah. And it was nice to talk to be there with Baron and Cash Money. It has been a while, Cash Money, since we talked, but it's always a pleasure to being in the same stream with you. So
You too,
Oh,
man.
It's been a while
You
since
too.
we did, Felix. We've crossed paths before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always happy to see you in my chat, dude, when you can make it and stuff. So yeah, dude, I'm glad you're in my Discord, man. You know, so I'm glad I can, you know, put out the streaming promotions. I think it's important. I think more people should do it. You know, let people advertise in there. You know, so if we're gonna help each other, we need to help each other. You know, and actually mean it. You know, don't.
We need to be a
if you know
fellowship.
somebody's going to be streaming,
yes,
then actually shout them out.
That's right.
Well, except for Baron and Cash, I'm not going to let them promote themselves right now at all.
Let them promote.
Yeah.
Even I don't.
But no, I mean, that's the thing. You meet so many people who are serious about helping other channels grow, and then other people are just doing it, you know, for their own purposes. Okay, I'll act like I'm going to help promote this channel, but really I'm just doing it for myself.
That's right.
Yeah,
but I have more fun on the people stuff.
Yeah, I have fun going on to other channels. You know, for example, Jace had me on Thursday. I'm completely different on Jace than I am on Pop Talk. Pop Talk being my show, I can be loose and silly and goofy. When I go on Jace's show or anyone else's show, you get the more serious me because it's not my show.
Serious Doc Pop.
You know, it's about gauging the room. You know, if everybody's serious, then that's what you do.
Yep.
But before we go, Cash, please promote yourself. What's coming up on the Phantom Hooligans?
Oh, he said it right this time.
Hooligans.
There he goes.
Hooligans.
Yeah, we're gonna have well, Vermintide 2 didn't happen last week, so we're gonna have that happen, and then before that, I still got Rift Apart. I'm still working on the Pinhead series because people in Hollywood have aggravated me enough to mock them some more. I'm still working on those videos. I've got another video coming out on the Phantom Hooligans. I don't know what day yet, but it's going to be about why give games 10 out of 10. And I think it should be very hard to give a game 10 out of 10 because to me that's perfect. You know, giving something a 10 out of 10 means that you don't feel there's any flaws, and that's really hard for me not to find at least a little bit some flaws. It would be hard for me to find really flaws. I would have to really dig deep into something like Empire. It'd be very hard for me to find flaws in that. I can watch that 1,000 times and I go, man, it would be really hard for me to find something in here I don't like. It really would. But yeah, so we got some gaming streams coming up, but definitely Vermintide 2, and then I think next week we'll do Myth Force again. I would like to get, maybe we can get people more interested in Myth Force, into Myth Force, you know, but I don't know. We'll see. It would be nice, but I think some of these games, some of these streams, I've also got the demo impressions coming up because I found some demos that I want to do. So I've got a lot of stuff coming up, and I want to, it's like the Phantom Hooligans. It's cool to do the live streams, but doing videos is something that I just want to do more of. And maybe even with the phone and stuff that some of you guys have done, reactions to things like that. So I'm still figuring out how I want to do it, but the live streams I really liked on Twitch, so I like them on YouTube, but doing more of these videos, I'm just like, well, I want to make sure it sounds good. I want to make sure it's good because other people are like, I don't want to do that. I go to work and it's like, I don't want to do the work. It's like, but it's work anyways, but it can be rewarding too. So yeah.
If you want to make it, you got to work.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like you said, Cash, this can be fun work. You don't need to look at it like a job, like a chore, like a task. You know, look at it as just a hobby, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Felix, if you have any of these games, you're welcome to join us. We usually play games if we're going to play games that are like 4 players and stuff. So, it would be nice if a Star Wars game came out again that besides Battlefront 2 that, had co-op and single player and was awesome. Whatever.
Don't get me there because I every time I play Battlefront 2, it's like I wish. Oh, you imagine all the updates that would have gone.
Yep.
That game, the potential of that game would have been.
It could have been amazing, man.
It could have been amazing.
Yep.
Thank you, EA.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
EA and DICE, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm not a victim. I play. That's if you see, I do streams of that. That's kind of like because I get immersed in Star Wars when I play that game. I feel that I'm doing. I know it doesn't have everything, but I can be a stormtrooper, I can be a Jedi, I can be a Sith, I can be like anything I want. I can go in the X-wing, a TIE fighter. There's nothing out there right now that you can do all that and be multiplayer. There's nothing out there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
But always, when you're gonna do team games and stuff, and if you get Myth Force, you can play with us, Felix. If you get Vermintide 2, you can play with us. If you get Turtles, you can play with us. I mean, these are even if you got River City Girls, there's 4-player co-op, so online, and that's a fun game too. If you like those beat 'em ups, those kind of Double Dragon games.
Yeah. So that's an NPC, right? Okay.
Yeah, so that's all on Steam, if you want to get that, so or other places.
Yeah, I have Steam,
money, but if you're interested, I don't know, but it would be great if we could get like a really great Star Wars game if somebody would finally come out with that. We'll see. That has all these cool things. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I was trying to play. There's a game. It's old. It's called the Star Wars Battlefields. The Battlefront. That is kind of like civilizations, but you build out your civilization. There was, I think, the Empire, the Rebellion. I think there was the Gungans, and who else was there? It's kind of like you know what I'm talking about. Those games that you can build up.
Yes.
It's like they haven't Warhammer Dawn of War.
Yeah, they haven't done that lately with Star Wars. The last time was like when the prequel era.
Yep.
Windows 95 time of frame.
Because it takes strategy and thinking.
Yeah, you need some more space combat games. Like they had Squadrons, but this is decent, but it could be so much better. It's not that great. So, and they abandon these games too. And somebody else is like, give it to somebody else. See what they do. Give it to modders. Give it to somebody else. See what they can do with this.
You're breaking up, Cash.
They miss opportunity.
My
Cash,
camera's
you're breaking up.
My camera's working. Whoa, where'd that come from?
Whoa, that was like that was like a crash on StreamYard. Anybody else have that?
You went full. No, you did. You went full max headroom. You never go full max headroom.
You were the one that was breaking up, brother.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. StreamYard is having some problems. I blame the governor. No, but
your boss?
Yeah. I just we move around, Felix, and stuff, and we're happy to have other people as long as they're not acting like douchebags and stuff, But we have fun. We joke around. Yeah. Sure. TCAP. See what I did there, but so that's what's coming up on the Fandom Hooligans. I still got to start Rift Apart. That'll probably be next week, but I'm working on these videos too because I want to talk about these things, these articles, and try to bring a new perspective to something else to these articles that people haven't brought. So yeah.
All right. And Baron, what do you have coming up on Baron Orman Tagg's Fandomology? Or should I just call it Mouse's Fandomology?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
is Mouse going to be the star? Mouse is going to talk.
Well, he's my co-star. I mean, he's the mascot. He's a camera hog. Have you noticed that? But I'm actually amazed. There was actually something that Cash was saying earlier that it wasn't a.
You know what really grinds my gears?
He actually said something about that was good. But of course, unfortunately, we fell down on having the stream yesterday. But I hope next Saturday we can do the Babylon 5 stream. Hopefully, no storms, no illnesses, all the stuff that seems to have plagued us the last couple of weeks here. Ophelia hopefully is gone and various stuff like that. So hopefully 7:00 Saturday Central Standard Time on my channel, Babylon 5 Discussion Season 3. Of course, other than that, I'm usually hanging out with these guys, or hopefully with 24/7 and his gang over at what show is that? Boy, I've lost track of it. It's Mouse's fault.
Primetime Kings, man. The Primetime Kings.
Primetime Kings of live stream. Hopefully we'll have that tonight. We've been kind of a little bit of a hiatus, but we'll hopefully have that soon, 5:00 Central Standard Time at 24/7 Fusion Media. But like I said, I'm usually here tormenting poor Cash Money below me and testing Mike's limits. And of course, in causing our guests to wonder why the hell am I on this show in the first place. So
you're all
that's me.
Okay.
And as far as PACIFIC414 is concerned for this week, on Tuesday, I will be playing The Messenger Part 4. I have been practicing TGAP, Steve. I have been practicing. Let's see if the practice pays off on stream, though. And then, of course, Wednesday, there will be PACIFIC414 Pop Talk. And then Thursday will be Part 4 of River City Girls with Cash Money 777. All those streams will start at 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, I do want to let you all know that as far as the next week is concerned, the week that starts Sunday the 1st, the only streams I'm planning on doing at this time will be Pop Talk. So there will be the Sunday Pop Talk and the Wednesday Pop Talk. Just get step back a little bit for a week and get some things done in the house, but I will be back in full force the week after. So as far as the game streams, well, it could be more Messenger, it could be more River City Girls, it could be anything. It could be Myth Force, it could be Bro Force for all. But that is what's coming up. And let's see, TGAP Steve is saying, and offending aliens with his magnificent beard. Yes.
Yeah, people are jealous of this beard, just like people are jealous of Cash's chin. I tell you. But, Mike doesn't want, but I'm going to spill the beans. What Mike didn't want to tell you is the week is off is because he's going to be on a new show. It's a reality type show. It's called Pimp My Studio. They're going to be redoing his studio completely. Pimp My Studio.
Wow.
And then when he comes back, it's going to be this flashy, bling bling studio. So it's going to have a lot of Optimus Prime and Transformer stuff, He-Man stuff. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's going to be on Sci-Fi Channel. So.
Oh, is Mike also?
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Is he going to also have some grills too? Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can't these two anywhere.
G.I. Joe grills. It's going to be Cobra. Cobra. Ah!
Cobra. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. A full size mannequin of the Baroness behind him too. I mean.
Why don't I just have somebody? Why don't I just have somebody cosplaying as Baroness and the other person cosplaying as Scarlet? Come on.
I don't think Evil Lynn. Go the bad girls. I like bad girls.
Okay, well, why not have Evil Lynn, Scarlet, and the Baroness?
Hey, you hardly pay cash night. Do you think you can afford that?
Baron. I don't even ask for super chats, and I'm not going to start. So there.
So,
yeah. I do this because I enjoy doing it. All right.
By the way, I still haven't received my cent from last month, so I want my penny damn soon. Okay. Gonna be 2 pennies at the end of this month, and I'm gonna insist on having.
If you've got an issue, here's a tissue.
Thanks.
Because this rings true right here when it comes to me and doing this channel. I appreciate everybody's support. I don't do it for super chats. I don't do it for donations on Stream Elements or slobs or anything. I do it because it's fun. That's what I do it for. I do it so that folks get aggravated when they're seeing me play a game and I die 100 billion times.
Not that many, but
close enough. But I do it because I like seeing people in the chat, people like you, Baron, when you show up and you like to harass me and go, how many times has he died?
No.
Oh, he dies a lot.
T-Gap Steve and his continuing narration of Beverly Hills 414. And talking about what happens to my Ferrari or Corvette, cars I don't actually have in real life. Or when our guest Felix, thank you, Felix, for coming on today. Really appreciate it, brother.
Thanks to you guys for letting me be here. So
not a problem. But I appreciate you coming by, and I appreciate it when Sparta Chris comes by. Jace 540 Studios, I appreciate it when he comes by.
He's Norwegian. What do we care?
Norporeal Lifeform, I appreciate it when he comes by. Bad Wannabe. Jet Sparks. Resolute Germ. DJ Ronnie G. That Junk Man. Killy Chow. Roll Tide Killy Chow. Bucky's Crafty.
Roll Tide.
Christian Fandom Geek. Leia Rose.
Leia.
Prismatic. Laserhawk Darren over on the YouTube side. And over on the Rumble side, we had Admiral Teague. And we also had Resolute Germ hop over on the Rumble side as well. And that's what I do it for. I do it for you guys. I don't do it for super chats. I don't do it for any kind of donations. I stream because it's fun and I like being around you guys.
Even if Leia Rose is the president and sole member of the Phil McCracken fan club.
She's going to get mad if you keep saying that.
That's not the only person that gets mad at me. So, I mean.
No, I always get mad at you, Baird. I always get mad at you. No, not really. Not really. I like to give you guys a hard time because you guys give me a hard time. So it's fair. And, that's what we do here as well, Felix, is, there are shows where we're just giving each other a hard time and busting each other's chops. And, that's what friendships are about, busting each other's chops. And some people have forgotten how to do that. You bust each other's chops. You don't take it personally. And the next day, you're back at it again.
Yep.
But again, thank you, Felix, for joining us today. I appreciate you, again, taking your time to be with us. And this was a great show. And
thank you.
Had a great time talking about your channel, talking about Star Wars and how it pertains to both religion and also coming from a military standpoint, as someone who was in the service, and how it trains your mind to focus, especially when you're practicing doing the different lightsaber stances and where they actually come from. It's really great. And until then, everybody, thank you all. Have yourself a great Sunday. And remember, I'm not just a baseball guy. I'm an all-around guy. Take care, all.
See you guys.
Love you all. Peace.
Autobots, transform and roll out.
Happened to roll out. I transformed. What about rolling out? Come on.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you about Screaming Baron? Come on.
I'm upset. I'm upset.
If you got an issue, here's a tissue.
I'm transforming back.
All right, fine. Go ahead, transform.